Hello, everybody. Once again, it's Spin Rack. It's not recording? I thought it was recording.
If it's recording.
Nice one, Mario. It's not actually your fault, though. I could have hit record, too. So sorry, I just wanted to blame you. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I do it all the
guy
time.
on the right hand. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Spin Rack.
Oh, come on.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Spin Rack. And today we're talking about Doctor Strange. Did you see the film? We saw it, and guess what? We loved it. You know, I'm going to give the review for these two guys here today because PM and Cal, because I know they're going to agree with me. We're one mind. Absolutely interesting film. You guys disagree?
I'm waiting to hear what you have to say since you're speaking for me.
The magic system was off the hook. Okay, loved it. You know, Ancient One wasn't as bad as people made it out to be.
Okay, we're not speaking of the same mind.
You're going to get us started.
You should have saved that part for last. We're not of the same mind. Not at all.
Shoot me down. Boom,
not at all.
boom, boom, boom. So, Kyle, what do you think about the movie? Give us a heads up.
Enjoyed everything about the film except the Ancient One.
Oh boy.
Okay, but already, look, my guns are loaded for that. So hey, why don't you guys go ahead? I'll give you guys, some space and some room, but then I'm gonna come out shooting.
All right.
Tilda Swinton, I see you.
I'll say we already talked about Tilda in the trailer thing.
And I'm gonna talk about Tilda
better
again.
in this after seeing it.
I'm gonna talk about Tilda Swinton
Any
again.
worse? She's not worse. That's clearly okay.
All right. Going in, the opening was okay. I sort of knew where it was going, so it was like saying, "There's going to be anything of the new." And then when he goes and he meets Agent One, and that's a good, okay scene. When it hit Wong, it was over for me. I was like, "This is now I've seen someone I remember." Wong doesn't look exactly like Wong, but at least it was Wong.
And the actor's name is actually Wong.
Yep, and he had Wong. So I was like, oh, that's cool. They got that. They had a makeshift Amagado. They had a makeshift, had the base, but then have the world itself be set up as the eye. And then when they go to his the sanctum, and it actually has the way Paul Smith designed the steps. That layout is pretty much the same, but the window is way farther back. And there's just a ton of cool stuff in the sanctum at the same time. So it was just like, I was turning to my wife, it's like, look, there's Wong, there's Dormammu. It's like, this is like, and it was just seeing a lot of cool stuff as far as a comic fan. The only thing I would say is they could have possibly put this in an earlier period. So to say he's been studying for for years, like it could have been in the 60s. Because I think they try to hint that, say like that point, because he's been studying for who knows how point to today. So they could have made him study longer, but it was fun seeing him use his powers and using his and having a split between being a doctor and being the sorcerer. So when he gets back to the hospital, and I think that's what I think Stan Lee probably struggled with, because it was a hard time there wasn't as many human moments in the comic books, or ones that he thought of. So having him in the hospital and then having his astral, his astral form fight against the character while they're trying to heal his body, and playing around with that was really interesting. I really like that stuff. So, and it was interesting that something you didn't always see. They had points where he'd go to the hospital, but didn't have a moment like that I had seen, that I remember from the comic books. So.
Yeah, I don't remember anything in the hospital at all.
So I was really, I liked that. I liked the basic suit with the cape. The only thing in the extra features, he got his freaking snow gloves on. They messed up the gloves at the end. He has these big mittens on at the end when he's with Thor. You didn't stay for the whole thing.
I stayed when he was Thor.
And you saw the orange gloves?
Yeah.
They were more tan.
Or whatever they were. They're huge.
I didn't get that at all.
Oh my God, that's too.
I can't believe it. Everything else. It's the gloves.
Hey,
really, the gloves?
I'm not complaining about.
Why the gloves?
I'm not complaining about the cake. I'm not complaining about the icing. I'm complaining about the trim on the icing.
You're complaining about the gloves. Like, the gloves are too thick.
Yes, they're almost there.
I don't know. That's really fanboy for you. That's really
I said
fanboy.
It's the trim.
Fanboy.
The trim on the icing, not the icing itself.
I thought the Marvel hit all the right notes. I'm trying to say it introduced a new character. He was funny, sarcastic. He played a little bit of arrogant role. I was hoping he would be even more arrogant than he turned out to be, but he did it. He did a good job. He was into his work as a doctor, as a surgeon, you know, and he was obsessed with it. I thought that whole portion was just a little too quick, but still, it didn't detract from it. When he went to Nepal, what is it, Kathmandu? What did they call the place? The place he was trying to get to, Kadao, I forgot what it was called.
Good luck.
You remember what it was?
No,
they didn't call
no.
it. I thought they were going to call it something else, but you know.
The only thing I could do is
Shangri-La or
I could
something.
only approxime what I remember. It sounded like it was like
nothing.
Kantrak or something of that
Yeah,
nature.
Yeah.
So I thought it was going to be someplace, another otherworldly place. It's just you go into a door and it's another building. You know what I'm trying to say? Like no one can see behind. That to me a little took away. I thought it was supposed to be a little different than that. You know, where it's like, wow, you enter into this area. It's a new world or a new dimension.
And it
where
was. Originally, he was one of those, I mean, it's typical now, but he had to climb up the mountain and,
Right.
find the pathway, and
Yeah.
it would be this place hidden and, kept
But-
away from everywhere else, but they
here's-
decided
he's
just to make
walking-
it a door.
Just going a door, and there's really nothing different, just another place. I thought the Ancient One, she did a great. She did a good job. I didn't think Tilda. It did not detract from me in the movie. You know.
Well, I would say my only other issue would be when they had issue with, the Ancient One using the dark arts. When in the first comic it says the master of the black arts.
Right.
Like obviously they're using these dark forces for good, and then Mordo, to have a reason for Mordo to go bad is like this order, and like I don't know. That
was
good enough
to me the
for
weakest part of the movie when Mordo changed because he's using the dark, and I'm like, why is that such a big thing? You know.
Well, what about
Because Mordo was supposed to be his villain, and if they had done that in the first place,
Yeah. Well, what about the
but
surprise
since,
character?
if they're going to change his race, then they can change his motivation. Who cares?
What about the surprise character that was in the movie?
Who?
It almost had the Defenders. They had the Submariner, Benjamin Bratt. Didn't he look exactly like the Submariner?
You know what?
I thought Benjamin
older
Bratt does not
Submariner.
get enough credit for being the actor that he is. He's a
solid.
very good actor. And
Yes.
just what he did right there
Yeah.
came across like, this guy's a very, very good actor.
Well,
A good
people still-
Submariner too.
people
He
still
could be a
think
good
of-
Submariner.
No.
People still think of
Yes.
No, I don't
A
want to see
younger
Benjamin.
one.
No, I don't
a
want to see.
younger Benjamin Bratt.
He could be an older Submariner. You know what I'm trying to say?
Do you want to see Benjamin Bratt running around in a Speedo?
He's an older
some point,
Submariner.
who
Do you
is
want to
it?
see an older Submariner running around in a
At some
Speedo?
point,
Because Submariner
someone's
wears a
gonna have
Speedo.
to-
But they
wear
can
a
change. You know
Speedo.
what I'm trying. All these comic book characters now, these superheroes have changed.
I'm tired of this.
If you
I'm tired
want
of
to
the
see
whole
him
big,
wear a Speedo,
the
that's
big,
on you. That's
the big
not me.
business answer for everything comic
Wait,
books.
let's
They can change.
let's not do the big business.
Hey,
destruction.
did I start it? Don't bring it on me. He
I'm
started
just
it.
saying. I know where this goes. I know where it goes, and it just goes to the ending of the show.
So
now he wants to go to his Tilda destruction.
Oh, don't worry.
Wait.
We're going to get to Tilda.
what
Don't worry
about the
about that.
magic? I thought the magic was well done. It was a little.
I didn't think you find it very imaginative, to be quite honest. I still think that because there's been such a push for secularism and for science, that a lot of these people don't even think in magical terms, where they realize you can do anything. The magic seemed very contained.
Yeah.
But
Very,
it
very
needs to be
contained.
contained. I think when you have magic that's just totally unlimited, it just then what's the point? It's a Superman.
But
he can do whatever
the
he
stuff you
wants.
saw in
It's
Harry Potter, the stuff you saw in Lord of the Rings was more imaginative than what I saw in Doctor Strange's film.
Probably
And this
imaginative.
is supposed to be about fully magic.
Probably imaginative. Well, he's new. I said probably imaginative, but there has to be limits with magic. My biggest problem with magic tends to be that there are no rules sometimes. And when there's no rules, then what's the point?
Magic has rules.
It
Any
has to have
Dungeons,
rules, and it
any
has to be
Dungeons and
contained.
Dragons player will tell you magic has rules. There can be a limit to magic, but there should not be a limit to creativity. There should not be a limit to imagination.
I disagree
And
with
when I
that.
look at, there should be a limit to creativity?
I said I'm not disagreeing.
Oh,
with
okay.
you.
You come over and I look at this and I was like, okay. And you can see they don't want to go too far with it because it's like, oh no, if we go too far, then people won't believe it. It's like, it's magic. They already know anything can happen because it's magic.
I think
You have to
gotta
go
move
for
them
it.
a shorty. And I think, in fact, a great movie to compare it with it is Fantastic Beasts when it comes out. You know how their magical systems are different and creative, like you're saying about too.
I don't know about that. You got different magical systems? It's magic.
No, but
it's magic
different.
at the end of the day.
It's different how Marvel portrays their magic versus how Fantastic
Marvel's
Beasts
magic,
and
to be honest, in comparison to everything I would have seen, that I've seen from Fantastic Beasts, from what I've seen in other films with magic, comes across as very clinical, very sterile in comparison. So you've
Interesting
got
point of
to loosen up a little bit. Loosen up a little bit. I mean, just the part where he's still trying to create his weapon, and the best he can do is just to create that line, that blazing line and such. But if you went to the Harry Potter movie, that line would have had been three-dimensional. Okay, it would have felt real and not technical. That sort of thing. I mean, I can go and I can see, okay, I shouldn't look at it and say, okay, this is what was happening in the green screen. This is Inception. This is Inception with just a lot more reflection going along with it. But again, it didn't take me out of the movie, but it does show me how much these guys have come to lean on things that are more grounded, as they will, and you don't have to explain them, but you also don't have to think as much, and you don't have to be as creative. A wall is just a wall, but when it's magic, that becomes something different. Now you have to think of all the different applications you could have, and okay, the applications that would be surprising for the viewer. You know, this is a wall, but but magically it does this, and then put your mind towards it. I didn't really get a lot of that. I didn't really get a lot of that from them. I mean, to be honest, the best magical scene I liked was the cloak of levitation, and I just liked it because it was beating the crap out of this guy. That was one ferocious cloak of levitation. It wouldn't stop beating him up. It was like 5 minutes later, and it was still knocking the dude around. I know they did that for humor, but I also liked it because magically the cloak has a personality, similar to what was it? It reminded me of if you saw Aladdin.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
If you saw Aladdin with the carpet, you know, that's along those lines. But, you know, from the moment I sat down all the way through, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch, very good selection for it. I also wish that he had been a bit more of a jerk. Okay, I wish that he had been a bit more, because in the comic, that's the way he came across to me.
For like 2 seconds in the comic, he's just like, and by the time he gets to...
This is a Silver Age comic, and it's very much condensed, but I'm a creative reader, so I understand that when I'm reading, this guy is really bad. You only need 2 panels. When you see the people and they're looking like this, and their hands are out, they're like, please help us, and he's like, no, you don't have enough money. I don't need to see that throughout the whole book, but I needed to see I really would have liked to have seen something like that in the story, because it makes his transition that much more richer, where he understands, okay, he doesn't come out and say, "Oh, what a big jerk I've been," but he understands how much bigger.
You have to do more of the comic
then,
because if you do the comic has a situation where
I'm talking about just his origin, just that first, origin issue.
I'm saying in origin, he has a thing to help him change because Mordo was trying to do something. In this one, they didn't have that setup.
Yeah, I would have liked that too.
Well,
but that also leads to the whole thing with the whole thing with the Ancient One. One, I don't. I mean, I'm not on board.
We fell into the Asian one.
Yeah,
we fell into the
I'm not on
Asian
board.
one.
I'm not on board for gender swaps. I'm not on board for race swaps. I don't like them.
How was the character? That's the real key.
Again, I'm not on board for gender swaps. I'm not on board for race swaps. I don't like them. Okay, I find them to be needless. I find them to be pandering, and that's normally a turnoff. But the Ancient One, if you're familiar with the comic, is this older cat, but he's the Sorcerer Supreme. He's the most powerful sorcerer on the planet. Yes. So since he's got this magical ability, there's pretty much nothing he could do. But the biggest check on that was that he was elderly. Nobody knows exactly how old he is, but he's elderly. So while he possesses the ability to commit these magics, his body doesn't have the physical strength necessary in order to do it. And so you see why it's imperative that he has someone like Doctor Strange coming in, especially after you see that Mordo is just waiting to take this guy out. Okay, even in that origin, we see that, you know, Mordo is trying to attack him, and, you know, the Ancient One is able to dispel the attack, but physically it drains him. And Mordo's just like, oh, I'm just going to keep attacking little by little, and eventually one of these things are going to get through because physically he can't do it. I go to the film. You know, she's the generic gung fu badass. There's nothing. You know, I was like, I've seen this already. Give me a different character. Give me a character with some frailty. Give me a character that has all the power in the world, but can't use all of the power in the world like I had with the Ancient One. And I would have had a 3-dimensional character instead of, you know, Gung Fu woman over here who's, you know, lived all of this particular time. And I felt absolutely nothing for in terms of character. There was no true connection between her and Doctor Strange. If you read the comics between the Ancient One, that was like a father and son dynamic half of the time. Okay? You know, Strange would do anything to preserve the Ancient One, and it was so fleeting and futile because he knew this guy was going to die. He knew it. All right, but the relationship between the two of them, it was father, son, and the bastard son who was Mordo. But Mordo was there first, so it's even more intense about the whole thing. So that relationship is put to the side. You know, for this whole generic, oh, I can fight, I'm a badass. I'm like, so what? I've seen this so many times. What was wrong with the character in the comic?
I don't know if
I haven't seen that.
The story in the comic would have been better. I agree with you there. The frailties of the Ancient One and the fact that she chose Strange over Mordo.
Because they changed his gender with this feminist BS.
That's not when you stop with the feminist.
It's supposed to be no
they
gender,
switched
actually,
it.
right? But the key thing.
But they call it.
that would've
Sorry,
been
but they
better-
did call her she in the film. They're trying to
Yeah, I
say
know,
no
no,
gender,
you're
but
right.
they called her she.
Because it is a she.
Yes, it's she.
It's a woman.
I'm
Yeah,
saying
and then
what
what would
you-
the change mean? Because it's feminist
I'm-
BS.
That's not feminist BS.
would've
Yes, it is.
It's
It would've
not
made-
feminist. It's
Pandering.
It's more, but it's not. It's not
would've been-
feminist
It would have been a
BS.
trying.
better motivation.
It's not
for Mordo.
feminist BS. If the people.
I'm sorry,
are-
Mario. We're being rudely interrupted
that's
here.
Yeah, I'm interrupting this. It's not feminist BS.
Interrupted. Stand up and do it, bro.
I'm saying it's not feminist BS. It's the whole the inclusionism, which doesn't always work, but
Because it's BS.
I'm not. But it's not. You're saying like the feminists are coming and like saying we need this and that and the other, and then no one's fighting for
Yeah, they
making
did. That's why they lost the election.
I was waiting for that one to come. Yeah, that ceiling has definitely gotten shorter.
No, that's the sexism.
That glass has gotten harder.
That's the sexism. That's not feminism. That's sexism. But anyway,
Dude, all I'm saying, you're right. Some of the stories in the comics tend to be a lot better, which develops the conflict between the characters. And I think if they would have used that whole Mordo problem, it would have been much better. But his whole reasoning at the end was like,
yeah, that
really,
was
like,
that aspect was yeah.
But it doesn't detract. The film for what it
Yes.
was not a bad film in and of itself. Okay?
And for me,
I liked
it's
it.
easily accepted because look, I already in the comic, Mordo is the villain, so I already know he's going to be the villain. If not by the end of this film, then definitely by the end of the second film.
Exactly.
So the reasoning for it is kind of like, oh, this is terrible reasoning, but whatever. I know he's going to be a villain. But, and I'll put this question to both of you: why is it so hard for them to take the things that have worked in the comic? The origin is fine. You could have done that. There would have been no problem. Why do they need to make, and in certain cases, these are drastic changes with those, with the origin, all of these things, when we see that it works. This wasn't a better origin than what was in the comic. Why do we need to make these particular changes? Why does Mordo need to be on the side first, and then all of a sudden he's like, I lose total faith in all of this right over here.
Well, I think, it goes, they always say, Hollywood, depending on whatever it is, they have to change, whether it be a book to the film or whatever, not including the Harry Potter, because it seems like they have some sort of, people watch those connected to the books. But, you go into the Iron Man where they decide, he reveals identity, like, in the 2000s.
Yeah, like 40 years later.
Was like they had the Marvel had set up a thing where they had interesting alter egos, where they were like, okay, Iron Man's is Tony Stark's bodyguard, so this explains that thing. Whether you say, oh, it's BS, it's like, no, it's different than what you had before, and people are like, no, let's just throw that out.
Yeah.
And they've been throwing this stuff out for like all the time, and so it's like, if you accepted all these changes, now it's harder to change them back when you're like, no, well, don't change Mordo's race, because they already changed Mordo, and then they really changed us with Tilda. They threw that in there. It's like, oh, everyone's saying, no, come on, this is like, we're trying to, make it more expansive, make it more inclusive to everyone else, and like, oh, now Tilda too, now the ancient one. Yeah. Now you screwed up that, and that's saying if you didn't let Mordo go, they wouldn't have, swung in with that. Or if you didn't let the Mandarin go, you wouldn't get this stuff
Let's
keep
not talk
happening.
about the Mandarin,
it was
please.
terrible. The Mandarin was freaking
Forget
terrible.
about it. How about Professor Yinxing in the first film is supposed to be Vietnamese, but of course it's not going to be set. Mind you, I understand the locale would have to change to make it topical as it was topical when Iron Man in the original origin.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to change Professor Yinsen. He
There
could
you
have
go.
still been Vietnamese.
There you
But
go.
these guys, everybody's like, we're going to play it safe. We don't want to
But
offend.
it's
We
like
don't want to
he
offend the
helped
Asian
Iron
market.
Man. He helped Iron Man out.
Look,
And the ancient one helped out Doctor Strange, right?
I'm saying I'm in agreement. I'm just saying that they already did.
But
They already did. I
obviously,
agree with
they
you.
obviously have this fear. They have this deep-seated fear of the Asian market. They don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah.
They're like, look, they obviously are saying, we don't understand what the Asian market is, but we want the money. We don't want to keep anything from the money. So the easiest thing we can do is we're just going to take those guys off the table. We'll put Wong in.
No, we had the other guy. We had the other master. Remember the other master that's sitting there, the other Asian guy?
Oh, with
Yeah,
one
yeah,
hand?
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah,
oh, now get out of here.
Yeah, get out.
Get
but you know what? I kind of see.
What's your job is to be the your job is to be the palatable Asian person in this film. Now get out.
They could have made the master Chinese or ancient one, ageless. No one knows what he is. Asian looking. No one made a distinction. But I think the main problem here, if Tilda would have had a frail body, she was older, and she was like the mentor to Doctor Strange, I don't think he would have had such a big problem with it. You know what I'm trying to say? Because
But they didn't do that.
If they would have followed that, and I think that's where we're coming in a lot of times. Yeah, the swapping and stuff. Some people have issues with that. But I think the main problem is that there's stories that are already there, storylines that are very good that they could have used.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make these changes, you should try to use these stories because it definitely gives motivation. I don't think it matters whether the person is black, white, or a woman a lot of times. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't all the time. And but if the story is bad and like they make a change that is drastically different, it kind of hurts it, you know. And that's my issue there.
Like I started off with, those type of changes usually they're turnoffs to me. But you can always win me back if you have a very good solid character, like what's her name, Candace Patton on The Flash. Okay, there's another swap, but I just really like the interplay between her, you know, and Barry.
Behave yourself. Behave yourself.
Okay,
I just really like I think the interplay. What was it? It was like episode 5, with the first time he goes back in time. And they shared their first, they shared their first kiss and everything of that nature. And the chemistry was really there. So I was like, look, I can't honestly say that I can't honestly have anything against the actress because she's doing a good job of it. And the development of her story. And in the comics, Iris West, to be honest, is not that big of a factor. She's pretty much Barry's girlfriend throughout the whole thing. He's always late. That's the big running joke, no problem. With Tilda Swinton, again, her character is generic. Her character is the badass. And because there's very little outside of that, the biggest moment that we get with her is that she's dying and she confesses all this stuff to Strange and then she's gone. And I'm like, well, if you're only going to hang around for one film anyway, then you could have just given me the ancient one and it would have been fine. I don't need, you're not going to be this diversity.
There's also a cell in, there's also a cell in Tilda Swinton. Like, she's a cell. So it's like saying we're not just getting you Benedict Cumberbatch. We're getting you that. We're getting Chiwetel Ejiofor.
We're going to get Benedict Wong. You know, we're going to have a one-armed dude over here who's not going to be non-offensive to anybody in the Asian market.
The actors are saying, well, we're not sure this is going to work, even though they could find an ancient, they could find an actor to play that. But they're saying they're putting all these people in the seats, so it's like saying, "Oh, if you don't know who Doctor Strange is, we got Tilda in there."
What was the last film you can remember that had an Asian male as a lead?
Oh God, well, it slips my mind right now. But
I was just watching this Ip Man.
Oh yeah.
There's tons of Asian films.
Asian films. I'm talking about the Hollywood films.
He's coming up. Hopefully they'll get him in there.
Right.
No, the last one, and this one was like under the radar for a lot of people, was Into the Badlands. Into the Badlands. It was on AMC, and it's martial arts film. But literally, I can count on one hand the number of productions that have been here. Like the biggest one for me was Vanishing Son with Russell Wong, and that was really good. Okay, that was really good. So again, it's like you're replacing. There aren't a lot of roles and a lot of lead roles, okay, or even really strong supporting roles, okay. And I don't even like using the term Asian. I really don't like it. But there aren't a lot of roles for guys who are Chinese, Korean, American, whatever you want to say.
Right.
And this is a role. Okay, but we're not going to take this. We're going to take this role off the table, not because diversity or anything. We're just scared of offending the Asian market. At the end of the day, that's it. I'm like, look, you got to at some point.
They're afraid to offend.
They started out with Iron Man. They've been doing that from the start.
They're sensitive to it, but afraid.
I think
if they were really afraid, they would have more Asians in the film. That's what I think.
No,
I'm trying.
They are afraid because they are afraid they're going to depict them in a manner that's going to be offensive because they don't understand the Asian market. They just want the money. They're not talking to people and saying, "Hey, look."
Suicide Squad. They didn't even know what's going on. It's like, oh, we're not showing this movie. Was it not shown in China?
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, because they didn't think it was going to be that big of a thing, so they didn't pursue it. If they would have pursued it, they could have done a bigger hit. And one of the reasons it did well was because it had such a diverse cast. So imagine if they would have pursued it after the fact.
I don't know.
No, that wasn't what I heard.
They said it was like, no, we're not doing it because of
Batman versus Superman. That's when I heard that they were like, look, they saw Batman versus Superman. They were like, look, this was like pretty dark.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
And they said, well, Suicide Squad. And they were like, oh, Suicide is it in the same vein as this? And they were like, no. Thank you. And that was how it went. Now, in hindsight, of course,
they cut it differently.
After Batman versus Superman, after that hit, in hindsight, of course, Suicide Squad was 10 times lighter than anything that Batman versus Superman brought across. But again, it's just look. There's no one saying, hey, we need to we can do these type of things with these characters, and it's okay because we have other characters we can bring in. oh, we want more female characters. Well, Doctor Strange has a ton of female characters.
Yeah.
You have what is it? You have Dormammu's sister.
Claire.
You have Clea. You can bring them in if you want to, but it becomes...
He has assistants too that they're in the sanctum. So
okay, but you can come over. But you can come over. We want to do the cookie cutter thing, and then the whole thing. When it becomes the bottom line, that's the reason why we have a lot of trouble right now, thanks to this bloody election. When it becomes about the bottom line, then what do? We stop thinking about people as people. What do people want to see? They don't want to see themselves portrayed as idiots. They don't want to see themselves portrayed as weak or lesser than, and they want to see three dimensions to it. They can take a bad guy if the bad guy has some legitimate reasons for being a bad guy. You don't have to be worried about that, but they said no to the Mandarin. They said no to Professor Ying-Sing. And he helps Iron Man.
But what
come on.
Well, that's what I mean. I agree. I'm not saying I agree, but I agreed when it came to the Mandarin. So when it came to Tilda and the Ancient One, it's like more of the same.
Yep.
So it's like I was complaining with Mordu, even though I like Chiwetel. I like him as an actor. I was just saying, don't switch it. And then it's like, okay, now when people are like, oh, the switch is like,
yeah, it happens all the time. No big deal.
We got to fight. We got to fight when the Mandarin. We had to fight when Iron Man 1 and say, don't make these changes. Don't do it. Or else at this point, it's like, there's no point to it because they've been doing it so long and they've gotten away with it. And, we said, Iron Man was good, but they could have done this.
Right,
and then it goes along and then you're like, now we can't fight back because they've been spewing the same thing and saying, oh, we don't want to offend anybody.
Readers who see it,
Oh, no.
99% or 98% of all the viewers will not be comic book readers, so they won't even know what.
And they're missing out on some really damn
Right,
good stories.
But this is where I agree with you. There are good stories that they could, and I don't know. Probably the whole thing is that they don't want to make it too readable, so you know exactly what's going to happen. They want to flip it up a little bit, and so you have these changes. Look.
The origin
we can debate
like
this.
Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming.
But the origin stories,
the homecoming party.
The origin stories are the only part that is going to be blow for blow.
They should be blow for blow.
That's it. Everything else is up to you. Everything else is up to you. I'm saying, look, leave the character. When we started with Iron Man, there was that first character, and he was wearing the ring, and they were talking about the 10 rings and so on and so forth. And that was the setup. They had planned to bring the Mandarin in, and at some point, they just started wetting their trousers and like, look, we're not doing it. We're not going to do it. We get to Iron Man 3. We got Ben Kingsley.
That's not even
and these guys were like, well, he was Gandhi, so I guess we can do this one too, huh?
But then they have the behind the thing that's in the DVD that somehow explains it. They're like, no, you got to watch that other thing in the DVD. That'll explain everything, and you get what you No, we were supposed to get a movie.
So, gentlemen, we're digressing. So, end of the day, do we like Doctor Strange?
Love Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Hate the Ancient One.
Like Doctor Strange. Fun movie.
9 out of 10, 4.5.
9 out of 10, 4.5?
If it's 1 out of 10, 9 out of 10. It's a 4.5 if it's a scale of 1 to 5. Stars, 4.5 stars. You follow me?
Yeah, I got it. But I'm just use one scale. Which one do you want to use? I mean,
one thumb fully up and one thumb 3/4 of the way up.